Well, what is going on, everyone? After multiple months of delays and moving problems and laptop problems, which is still ongoing but not as bad, we're finally gonna get around to this. Now, I have done my worst movies of 2022. I've done my most surprising, my most disappointing, my annual comic book movie ranking, and little videos talking about my most underrated. But this has been on the push for far too long. What am I talking about? We're doing finally my best movies of 20. This year was pretty awesome for movies, so last year was very good. I know we're in the middle of 2023. I still have 2023 stuff to do. Give me time. But I had to finish this off head on. And even though before this you're going to get a massive 2022 catch up video, but this here is going to be my top 30 best movies of last year. These movies are the movies that impacted me, the movies I think about, the movies that I really enjoyed the most. Now, a couple of disclaimers. This is my subjective list, so if you don't like some of the choices on this list, please do not get angry. In fact, I want to hear what your list would be, and I'm sorry that it took me so long to get to this. I'm sorry. Also, there are some movies on here that you're going to probably see surprises, so if you disagree with some of these, please don't get angry here. Also, if you guys are new to the channel, all my social media links are in the description box down below, as well as you're seeing on screen, to my Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Letterboxd, Hive, all of that will be in the description box down below. Also, if you would like to send me anything from my Amazon wish list, you can do that as well. Be sure to like, comment, and share this video. Hit the subscribe button so you won't get notified. So you will get notified for more videos like this. And so in the run of my old name, and let's usher in a brand new world of Epictasticness with the new name. So that being said, let's talk about this. And with that being said, we're going to go ahead and do my best movies of 2022. There were so many other movies I wanted to put on this list that I really liked, but for one reason or the other, couldn't really make the list. So, with that being said, I do have quite a couple of honorable mentions. And in no particular order. I did change this, of course. X, the first movie in the X trilogy. Marvel Studios' Werewolf by Night. Persuasion. Fantastic Beasts, The Secrets of Dumbledore. Still wish we could have seen the other two, but what are you going to do? Monster High the movie, one of the biggest surprises of last year. I can't wait for Monster High 2. Duel with Karen Gillan as two Karen Gillans fighting to the death.
Yeah! Oh! This is amazing!
Jordan Peele's Nope. Love and Leashes. She Said. DC's League of Super Pets. A Jazzman's Blues. Tyler Perry's 27-year passion project.
Elvis.
And at last, but certainly not least, don't hate me, Avatar fans, just listen. Avatar: The Way of Water. Great movie, but way too fucking long. That being said, those are my honorable mentions. All very good movies on their own right, just could not fit the list. But that being said, let's get into the top 30 movies of 2022 that I loved the most. In 30th place is The Black Phone. And the reason why this movie is so low on here is because not only this was a hard list to make, but when I think of 2022 horror, it was a fantastic year for horror movies. We had some unexpected surprises, we had some bad movies, and we had some really good ones that got under your skin. And this is one of the biggest examples of that. And I also really like the fact that not only that this was a movie with Scott Derrickson in the director's chair after the whole thing with Multiverse of Madness, but it continued to show why Scott Derrickson is great at what he does. He's a talent in the horror genre with some great performances by the great Ethan Hawke, Academy Award winner Ethan Hawke as the Grabber, who will go down as one of the most fun horror icons. Mason Thames, Madeline McGraw, Jeremy Davis, James Rainson. Great cinematography in the movie. There's a great score that gets under your skin. Some great tension and suspense-filled moments. You had a phenomenal story and the movie is well paced in the storytelling. The movie does have a few issues here. I do think some of the abusive stuff with the dad and the son, brother and sister didn't really need to be there. And the supernatural psychic thing, I can take it or leave it in this movie. But overall, what I got was a phenomenal movie that was just as amazing as everyone set out to be. And I'm surprised that not a lot of people is talking about this movie anymore, because this was definitely a fantastic film to watch. And I definitely quite really enjoyed this one. Number 29, we're going to have another movie that was quite underrated that no one talked about last year, and that was Emergency. This is a very entertaining college comedy drama that tackles familiar social themes such as what's going on in today's society with the police and with what's going on in our everyday life when it comes to that type of situation. But it also puts you into what do you do crisis, like if you were one of these characters, because we deal with how humans most likely and still does with these situations about racism and police brutality, but it never feels beaten over your head and it never really feels forced. I thought the directing was very smart when it comes to what the director was going for, Kerry Williams. I also think that the writing, of course, was very strong here with KD Davilia, and the performances overall were very good. Donald Watkins and RJ Cyler and Sabrina Carpenter, who should really be getting more movies. Skillfully well directed, definitely goes for what it's set out to do. I think the movie is just a little too long by an hour and 45 minutes. But ultimately, Emergency left its mark and is on this list for a reason. Number 28, we're going to have Love Like the Falling Petals. This movie was sad, man. And this movie is heartbreaking, but it's also really fantastic romance love story. Considering the fact that I had to deal with the final movie in the after series, or so they thought it was, the after bullshit of Tessa and Harden, this was much better and much more up to my speed. I thought the struggle of the illness in your life was handled well. I thought the despair of the family trying to find medication. But it is a love story, but it's also about a lead girl fighting her illness. Visually stunning camera work, beautiful direction, great writing that made this one of my favorites of the year. It does have a few slow spots, but I think this is a beautiful and but also tragic Asian love story that I found myself fully caring for throughout the 2 hour and 8 minute runtime. And this, while this is not a movie I'm gonna go back and rewatch, this is all the time. This is a movie I definitely really do like when it comes to the romance side of things, and definitely one of the better love stories in the rom-com genre. Number 27, speaking of X, the prequel to X, Pearl, which they're filming Maxine right now. I can't wait to see Maxine, how Ty West is going to conclude his X trilogy. If you all saw X, we all thought the movie was over. No, there was a little trailer for this movie there. Even I knew that after. But this movie was one fucking crazy prequel to X with clever direction, amazing direction by Ty West once again. It is a little bit slow, but I appreciate the slow build up. And Ty West does a great job in keeping the camera rolling in certain scenes to build on a lot of unsettled nature of the performances. But it also gives you motivation as to why Pearl is Pearl, the way she is. And I think overall, the performance-wise is amazing here. All the performances in this movie is great. I did love the story of a farm girl with dreams, but is abandoned by her husband and not supported by her overly irritating mother, which I'll say she was irritating, of course. But with this movie and with X, you definitely understand Pearl's pain is definitely not justifiable for the actions she's caused, but the way the movie plays out, I think this movie is just fantastic. You also have a great score, great soundtrack, colorful cinematography, push you in that Wizard of Oz-esque type feel. And also, I really do think that overall, when the movie was over, I was shocked at how great this was for a prequel. And if they nail it with Maxine, A24 could have a great horror trilogy on their hands. To mention, Mia Goth as Pearl. The fact that she did not get any award recognition or any kind of Oscar love, that is a crying shame, because that was one of the biggest snubs last year. But ultimately, I walked away, I enjoyed myself, and I had a hell of a time when it comes to Pearl. There is a scene here that goes on for 6 minutes, which is the monologue, which also helps that Mia Goth also wrote this. So ultimately, this is a fantastic prequel to X. And I definitely really enjoyed what this prequel had to offer. Will Maxine stick the landing? We shall find out. But number 27, Pearl. Number 26, we have, of course, Barbarian. And when it comes to Barbarian, this was a movie that I was not going to really check out. It wasn't on my radar. I wasn't really interested in it until I saw people like Zach Pope and also Cody Leach, which the main motivation to actually get me to watch this, even though it was a spoiler-free review. I went into this movie not expecting much, not knowing as much as possible, and what I got out of this was one of the craziest movies I saw in 2022. Does it have issues with the slow pace? Yes. Does some characters make dumb decisions at times? Yes. But ultimately, I walked away really liking what this movie had to offer. It was very tense, it was very bonkers, it was very fun, and it was really crazy. And not only that, I thought the performances were also really good. Georgina Campbell, Bill Skarsgård, and Justin Long. And if you show this to someone, they're going to be definitely crazy here. It's unleashed, is definitely unpredictable, but I definitely really enjoyed the marketing of this movie. There is no possible expectation or prediction that can be made. You have to basically see the movie for yourself. Another issue I do have, is not with the movie itself, but rather the fact that this movie does not have a physical media release. Get on that, Disney. Give this movie and other movies physical media releases. Physical media is important now more than ever. Barbarian is fantastic. Speaking of fantastic, the number 25 is going to be The Whale. Whew, this movie was heartbreaking, man. This was emotional and it was devastating to watch. But this was a heavy look at obesity and loss and how no one can help you but yourself. And I took a lot away from this movie. First off, Brendan Fraser definitely deserved that Academy Award. He was fantastic here. I thought he really sold his A game in his performance. He really carried what this movie had to offer, and I thought his performance was great in the movie. He has to anchor this movie with so much heavy, harsh subject matter, but I think overall his performance is what released this movie. Han Chow was also very good as a supporting character. I also thought Sadie Sink was fantastic as well. Despite the fact that her character is a bit tricky to play and how much I did hate her until the ending of this movie, but I thought the script by Samuel D. Hunter and the direction by Darren Aronofsky was good. This is also one of those movies that not a lot of people is gonna like. So if you're one of those people who doesn't like one movie locations, also if you don't like movies that are very heavily sad and emotional, this is not going to be that type of movie for you because this movie does not shy away from getting emotional. Few issues aside with Ty Simpkins and his character, and Samantha Morton was kind of just there as the mom, but I understand why. And also wanting a little bit of what made Ellie feel like this, and wanting to see the moments where her and her dad before everything went down to get to where she is now. I think The Whale was very emotional and it was really powerful. And if you have not seen this movie, it's hard for me to say I recommend it because this is a very hard movie to watch, but I will say definitely watch this movie and give it the chance I think it deserves. 24, this is a movie which you probably will see a review of in standalone, and that is Dragonball Z Superhero. This was fine. It's not my favorite Dragon Ball movie, but I really enjoyed what this movie had to offer. I think the animation was really good, and this is a movie that will please everyone in this movie. And I think everyone, if you're a Dragon Ball fan, you'll be pleased. If you're an anime guy, please. But when I really enjoyed about this was the focus on Piccolo and Gohan. And it made it for a fun time here. There was some great action. You have some great side characters. Get some love. You do get some fun play, some great animation. It's not going to be the top 3 Dragon Ball movies, but overall, I was very impressed with the new animation style. The focus on side characters and characters that haven't got their time to shine was great. And overall, I just found this to be a very entertaining movie to watch. So, with that, I can ultimately say this is a good one that you should definitely check out. And I definitely really enjoyed what this one had to offer. So ultimately, it made the list for that. Number 23 is Bullet Train. I had tons of fun with Bullet Train. This was cool. This was so awesome. Bullet Train was a movie that I greatly, really enjoyed, and definitely really admired what this movie had to offer. It was fun. It was crazy. It was nuts. From the trailers, I knew this was going to be a fun summer blockbuster. But watching this movie, I was just prepared for anything they were going to throw at me. I was having fun. I like the craziness that they give. David Leitch knows what he's doing. He is a great action director. There's a lot of enjoyment in the film's story. The crazy action scenes on the train is really good. You do have some of that Tarantino and Guy Ritchie-esque type of style here with the mix of humor and action, and it delivers on being a fun summer blockbuster. A little bit long by 15 minutes, and a little bit too frantic and a little bit too crazy for some people, but that's what I love about it. And also the performances in this movie is really good here. Brad Pitt was very good here. I loved Aaron Taylor Johnson and Brian Tyree Henry. They made me laugh a lot. Andrew Koji was very good. I also very much loved Harunuki Sanada. Michael Shannon was great. I also loved Bad Bunny was there. Zazie Beetz needed more of her. Sandra Bullock was cool. You also had Logan Lerman and Karen Fukuhara as cameos there. But the most valuable player for me was Joey King as the prince. Like, between this movie and The Princess, Joey King should do more action movies type like this. She's got it in her. When you get her away from the cliche rom-com stuff like The Kissing Booth, even though I don't hate those movies, when you get her away from stuff like that and such, you could definitely get something great out of her when it comes to this. And Joey King's awesome in this. Bullet Train, if you have not seen it, definitely see it. And I can't wait for Bullet Train 2 because it's going to happen. Number 22, one of a few superhero movies you're going to see on this list, and that is Black Panther Wakanda Forever. This movie had a hard task to do. Not only to be a sequel to one of the best movies of the MCU, for me personally, but also had to close out a very frustrating phase for some, like myself, who didn't hate it, but did have some missteps. But also had to tackle the loss of his fellow franchise player in the case of the late Chadwick Boseman. And in the wrong hands, this could have easily been a fluke. But having seen this movie twice now, once when it came out and once back in February for Black History Month, this movie is fantastic. It's the most mature of the recent phase of the MCU in phase 4, right next to Eternals and Multiverse of Madness to some degree. But I think what the movie does is pays beautiful tribute to a fallen actor. It's very poignant, it's very emotional, it's very heartfelt, and it's very mature in the way possible. The task that Coogler and these cast and crew had was very devastating. This is a very heavy movie with a lot of screaming and yelling, a lot of emotional moments, a lot of sad moments. And for some people, this will be a departure from the first Black Panther. But for me, I find it very amazingly beautiful that we pay homage to the fallen. I also thought the performance was very strong in her. I love the fact that Letitia Wright, for me personally, gets to take over as Shuri, as the Black Panther, until we get another Black Panther. Better that than just recasting right now, because if you were recasting, that would have been terrible. I also thought that Tanag Hoeta as Namor was good. I thought Angela Bassett gave an Oscar-nominated performance. Even though she didn't win, her nomination is still a win for her in my book. The rest of the cast, Lupita Nyong'o, Winston Duke, all of the actors in this movie did really good here. The only few issues I think you could have taken out was there's 20 minutes in the middle you could have taken out with some subplots and some characters you couldn't trim down. There's a little bit too much subtitles here. I will also say the effects are definitely way better, which is another big pro, and the score is also really good. But biggest elephant in the room you could have easily taken out of this movie, even with my second time watching this, and I know some people like this character, I did not care for Riri Williams, or aka the female wannabe Iron Man. I'm sorry, that's who she is. She's just female Iron Man. There's not much difference to her, and it doesn't give me any hope in her show at all. So that's a character besides Kane the Conqueror I do not want to see again for a little while. I'll take Kate Bishop because Haley Steinfeld is awesome, but Riri Williams, get out of here. Black Panther Wakanda Forever is a fantastic sequel. that is emotionally satisfying, that continues the world of Wakanda, but also pays homage to its fallen star. Wakanda Forever. Number 21. This is going to be a controversial pick, one of many. Crimes of the Future. I know this movie was very divisive. I know some people didn't like this one, but I personally quite liked Crimes of the Future. I did have my issues with it. Of course, it needed more time to focus on some of the stuff in this movie with the fascination of the human body and also some of the subplots here, which this movie is a little too short. You needed at least 2 hours or some odd minutes to focus on some of the other subplots you have in this movie, but it's not convoluted. Will also say I felt like the movie could have been a little bit stronger in terms of what you're going on. And I do felt like there could have been more intensity to the body horror and such, but ultimately I definitely quite walked away really liking the Crimes of the Future. I did like some of the stuff they were trying to point out, how like surgery is the new sex, and also the themes of humanity and usage of body horror mixed with great performances. Also, in some stuff, what the movie's trying to say, which I quite liked. Like a lot of other stuff that I did talk about in my review, but I also thought that some themes of the film I thought were very good. I thought David Cronenberg's direction is still good. I just felt like some of the writing in some of the subplots and some fleshing out the ideas here more needed a little bit of tighten up, a little bit longer pace. But I also definitely enjoyed the performances here. Viggo Mortensen was great. Kristen Stewart, for her few minutes, she was fantastic. But Lea Sedol is this movie's most valuable player. And if you just know Lea Sedol, she is a fantastic French actress. Probably my favorite French actress. She has that face that is just alluring and also can draw people in. And not only that, she is definitely a French Taylor Swift. I can't wait to see her in Dune Part 2 in a few months. But overall, I did enjoy what Crimes of the Future had to do, and it was fun. So, with that being said, not a movie everyone's going to like, but I quite enjoyed. 20, we have Glass Onion, Knives Out 2. I love the first Knives Out. It was original. I thought it was very funny. It was witty, and it was a fun murder mystery that we needed here. There's another murder mystery in here that almost made this list, which is Death on the Nile, but that's another honorable mention. But Glass Onion of the two, I definitely enjoyed more than Death on the Nile, even though I love that movie more. And this shows why Rian Johnson is a capable director and writer when he has his own franchise. And when people leave him alone about episode 8, it's 6 years ago. But Daniel Craig is great once again as Detective Blanc. I thought he was very fun in the movie here. I thought the humor is once again very good. It was a very gorgeously shot looking movie. There were some fun moments here with the musical score and productions, technicality stuff, and sound mixing. I also thought that cinematography-wise and acting-wise, the cast here is just as good as the cast in the original film. This time you have people like Janelle Monáe, who I love. You got Catherine Hahn, who is amazing. Edward Norton, which I'm very on and off with Edward Norton. Some movies I like him, some movies I don't like him. He's one of those conflicting guys because of some things I've heard with him being a little egotistical and some stuff. But he's good here. I also like Kate Hudson. This was way better for her than music. Madeline Klein was great. And I thought everyone was very good. And there's ways in this movie to keep it fresh. I do feel like there is some draggy pacing, just a little bit by 10 minutes, speeded things along. And Jessica Henwick was fine, but her character was just kind of there. But Glass Onion was tons of fun, and I definitely enjoyed myself when it comes to that type of movie. So I definitely really enjoyed what that movie had to offer. 19 is The Menu. This movie is wow, I love The Menu. I watched this at the beginning of the year again, and this movie will make you hungry after watching it. This movie is fun. I had a hell of a good time watching this. This movie was so much fun. I like the devilish humor that it took. You have some good layer themes in the concept that is bizarre, but it's not really ridiculous here. And you definitely have one of the craziest Gordon Ramsay characters in the character of Julian here. I like the solid horror comedy blend. It's dark comedy. It was very fun. The social commentary about the food culture, but also the food community, was very good. I really love the direction and the writing here and the knockout performances. There can be a tiny bit much with one character in this movie, played by John Leguizamo, who's very funny in the movie, but he's kind of too much. But this was a movie that was on my radar, and I'm glad I gave this movie a shot because I really enjoyed myself. I thought Ralph Fiennes was very good as the main antagonist here. I also loved the score of the movie. There was some great cinematography, some great production design. There's a lot of great food in this movie, of course, because this movie will make you hungry, as I just said. Nicholas Hoult was good here, but easily the girl who did not come to play in this movie is Anya Taylor-Joy. There is one scene in this movie where she has a monologue towards the end, and our Princess Peach, she did not come to play in this movie. Anya Taylor-Joy is great in here. I love Anya Taylor-Joy. I can't wait to see what she does in Furiosa. And now that she has Princess Peach on her hands, we're going to see the name of Anya Taylor-Joy is known. But The Menu, I had tons of fun. If you have not seen this, watch it on HBO Max. I'm calling it that because I will not call it by its new name, even though I am part of it. I just haven't used it yet. Number 18. I don't know if I would put this in a list like this again, but Jackass Forever. This movie is ridiculous, is crazy, but this is also a movie that's kind of going to be hard for me to review. Because how do you talk about something like this that with just crazy stunts? It's a crazy, ridiculous, fun, but awesome goodbye to the Jackass crew that goes out in style. Of course, there is some ridiculous shit in this movie. There is crazy, dumb crap in this movie here. And for a movie like this, of course, it brings back the group minus Bam Margera for one last crazy shenanigans and stunts. And there's a lot of moments here where you're like, why would they do this to themselves? They could get hurt. And honestly, I just have fun with this. That's all I can really say about this. Again, this is going to be one of those movies that's going to be hard for me to review in the catch-up review series, but ultimately I did walk away quite liking this type of movie. But this is a movie that's going to be hard for me to even do a YouTube review on. So I'm just giving my little small thoughts here. 19, we have Orphan First Kill. Woo! 13 years worth of wait, 14 years now. But this was a very effective horror prequel that easily could have went wrong because I love that original Orphan movie. One of the most underrated horror movies, especially that twist. Doesn't get enough love in the horror community despite that dad being obnoxious, increasingly obnoxious. But I thought Orphan First Kill was very good. I very much loved a lot of what the movie tendered on and what the movie was going for. And I definitely like what the movie had to say in terms of where it wanted to go and branch out. There is some good scares. There is some good surprises. Shocking twists, of course. But the main thing you go for in this movie is Isabel Fuhrman's Esther, who she's older now, but they have to make her look like a child. And it's not easy using practical effects and stand-ins. Not a lot of CGI, but once again, Isabel Fuhrman, she slips back into it. She never loses sight of the character and what the character is supposed to be. And overall, I just thought she was fantastic in the movie. Julia Stiles was alright. The other cast members was alright, but there was some good horror thrills. There was some good tension. There was some good suspense there. Where the movie does falter is that when you get to the twist of the parents, not as strong as it could be, because I did find the son character and to be a little unlikable. But compared to that, Orphan is just a very intense little horror movie that I quite really enjoyed. 16th place, which I know some people will call blasphemy right now, and they'll probably be like, are you kidding me? This should be higher. But again, my list. The Batman. This movie was fantastic. And I just tried this out on Blu-ray with my new 4K upscale Blu-ray player. And The Batman, this movie, I have not watched the movie again all the way through, but I've seen this movie for a total of twice now, back when it came out. And this movie is fantastic. This is a phenomenal film. This is, when people talk about one of the greatest movies ever, this is going to go down as one of the greatest comic book movies ever. I think this is an amazing film that definitely surprised a lot of us. I really thought that Robert Pattinson was fantastic as the Cape Crusader. He shut all of the naysayers up. And before I go on, stop talking about him in Twilight. That's not his fault. Please. But Robert Pattinson was fantastic as the Cape Crusader. I also really loved Zoe Kravitz's Catwoman. She ain't my favorite Catwoman, but she is definitely one of them. I really loved Paul Dano. I like Jeffrey Wright, John Turturro, Peter Sarsgaard. Colin Farrell, unrecognizable as the Penguin. Andy Serkis is incredible as Alfred Pennyworth. There are some great set pieces of action, but what this movie really is, with Matt Reeves' fantastic direction, this is an almost 3-hour-long crime epic film noir that really gets under you, and this movie is incredible to watch, and just a magnificent film that definitely is going to go down as one of the best movies of cinema. It is a phenomenal film here that is great here. Everything is meticulously crafted in the filmmaking, in the performances, in the cinematography, and overall themes. This is a film noir in the Batman world that this is the detective Batman that everyone's been waiting for, and it delivers. There's some great action when it's there. That chase was definitely so much fun. Some very iconic script writing here. Some great lines in this movie, like "I'm Vengeance" and the phone call scene with him and the Riddler. I really enjoyed the score by Michael Giacchino. And this definitely sets up a bright future in Matt Reeves' Batman universe with the sequel, which they're going to do, which is going to be in 2025. We're also going to get Clayface. We're getting the Penguin. We're getting a lot out of the Matt Reeves era. But we're also going to get more from James Gunn's version of Batman, which is not connected to this. The only issues I have with this movie, as great as this movie is, I think this movie's too damn long. By at least a couple of minutes with some of the club sequences. I could have used more Penguin, and you definitely could have done without that Joker scene, which is definitely on the lead scenes. I think it's a little too early for the Joker. We need to do other villains like Clayface and Poison Ivy, damn it. Poison Ivy. When are we going to do Poison Ivy? Please. But ultimately, I think the Batman is going to go down as one of the best comic book movies of this decade, and definitely one of the best movies of this decade so far. It's not my favorite movie of the decade, but it's definitely one of my favorites. And I'm glad to have this movie in my collection. I can't wait to watch this again for a potential commentary. And I can't wait to see some of my issues kind of go away with future movies. But the Batman, so awesome. So awesome. Number 15. Talk about Hulu, which is not the only Hulu movie you're going to get on this list, and that is Prey. I know there's some people who don't like this one either, but Prey, I thought this was a good Predator movie, in my opinion. It's not my favorite Predator movie, but I definitely appreciate the first take on the Predator franchise. It was a story that, while we have seen it before, I think Dan Trachtenberg executed in a way that is plausible. And it's nice to switch things up. It takes it back to basics. It doesn't get overly complicated. It doesn't go into some stupid craziness. It goes back to its roots with some good direction. There was some good R-rated bloody Predator action here. I also very much love the performance by Amber Midthunder for me personally. And they just took it back to old school. I understand some people, they don't like it. That's fine. But this movie is really good. You bring back the much needed suspense to the franchise, which is part of the roots. You have more of the horror elements we got in the Predator movie. The action is violent. The primitive weapons is cool. This Predator is very awesome. And there is some modern dialogue here. Yes, there is the cliche of the girl having to fall to get back up, but I can forgive all that because the movie was just so damn fun. And I enjoyed myself back when this came out in August. And the movie is on Hulu, and luckily this movie is hopefully still on there, but it will really be awesome if we got a physical media release of this, because this is a movie I think, besides Barbarian and besides the next one here, definitely deserves and warrants a physical media release. Number 15, we got a little movie that I think some people were divided on. And number 14 is The Woman King. This movie got completely shut out at the Oscars, but you know what? Who cares about them sometimes? The Woman King, I thought this was a great film from Gina Prince Bythewood. There are a few inaccuracies historical wise in terms of the story, but again, I'm not watching a documentary. I'm watching this as a film. And this is a great epic movie with dynamic performances. It is a very neat historical story of an awesome tribe of African soldiers. And considering the fact this movie is PG-13, they do not hold back on the brutality in this movie. This movie goes for it, and it knows what it is. And that's the number one thing I love with movies like this. Know what you are. It doesn't go for someone else. Great emotional stories that kept me engaged throughout. Viola Davis was fantastic here. I also really thought that the technical aspects, cinematography wise and production design, costumes, hair and makeup, and music wise was very good. Gina Prince Bythewood did a great job in what they were going to do in this. I also really thought that the rest of the cast was good. Sheila Atim, Lashana Lynch, John Boyega was good. You also had Thunadu Msambu in here. And I'm actually surprised. I really liked Hero Finds Tiffin in this movie. Yes, Hardin Scott from After. I was genuinely shocked. I liked him in this movie. One, because he's better written. He's an asshole character, but he's better written here, better directed here, and he gets to flex his acting muscles here. Again, a few historical inaccuracies, a little slow, and there's maybe the romance here you could have taken out or left in or wrote a different way, but The Woman King was awesome, and that's why it's number 14. Number 13. Speaking of biopics and movie parodies, Weird, the Al Yankovic story. There's a few issues here with some weird craziness here and maybe some slow pacing here. But the the Al Yankovic story was very fun. This movie was a blast to watch. It's on Roku right now with commercials and everything. But this was so much fun. A lot of funny scenes, a lot of unbelievable cameos, and this movie, it does make fun of the biopics, but at the same time, it's a lot of fun here. Some sketches and sequences here, but this is a blast of a movie here. You have some good music genre here. It is a straight up parody on biopics in the music industry, but I definitely enjoyed it here. Daniel Radcliffe was a fantastic. It's Weird Al. I love Daniel Radcliffe. He's my favorite actor of all time. Besides Harry Potter and such, he proves to flex his acting chops here. I thought he was amazing. I also really loved Evan Rachel Wood here. I also liked some of the rest of the cast here. Very well directed, very well acted, and it was just a simple, fun movie. And Weird Al, the Al Yankovic story, if you haven't seen it, definitely watch it. I do hope this gets a physical media release because this is a lot of fun. And this shows me that Daniel Radcliffe can do more than just Harry Potter and character stuff. So this movie's number 13 on my best of 2022, and I have fun with it. 12. Easily, this is the biggest thing that makes me pretty upset at Hulu. Because the fact they took this movie off and a couple of other stuff off of not just this, but also Disney Plus, and no way of other people having to watch this unless you go to a streaming website, which you have to type this movie in and find. Rosaline. Yeah, you heard me right. Rosaline. This was a very clever and interesting take on the Romeo and Juliet story that you think you know, but this shows a different perspective of it. And Rosaline was just a lot of fun. It's well paced. I've seen this movie 3 times now. Once when it came out, twice again in December last year, and then again on Disney Plus for a little bit of time before they took it out off. But this movie's still a lot of fun. It is one of the more funnier comedies of last year. I thought the comedic spin and the twists and turns and the comedic take on Romeo and Juliet might not work for some people, but for me, I thought the take on Romeo and Juliet was a lot of fun here. And I definitely really enjoyed the movie. It doesn't try to go into something way too out there. It doesn't disrespect the Romeo and Juliet thing. There are a few jokes in this movie that doesn't land at times, but for the 1 hour and 36 minutes I was invested, I really was enjoying it. I had a fun time with it. It had great direction by Karen Maine. I liked the score by Drum & Lace. Beautiful cinematography work, great production design, costumes. But easily the scene stealer in this movie, besides the direction, and besides the fact that I was consistently laughing my ass off with the 3 times I have watched this movie, is the commitment and the dedication of the main actress and the producer, Caitlin Dever. She's great in her. She was great in Booksmart. She was great in Ticket to Paradise. She's been great in a lot of other things, but here she is having tons of fun in this movie, and she should definitely be considered to helm a franchise at some point because she's a lot of fun. But her as Rosaline, you instantly like her because of her charisma, her very charm, and just the fact that she played this a lot of fun into it. And Caitlin Dever, you put this girl on anything, and she could be evidently tacitly awesome. Because as I said in the review of this movie, Caitlin Dever is fucking dedicated to her performance. Isabella Moner is also really good. You also had Kyle Allen, Sean Teal, a lot of other great performances as well here. And the fact that you're basically following a character who's constantly questioning and lampooning everyone around her very much is good here. This is a movie I feel like should have went straight to theaters, but also this movie deserves a fucking physical media update. Put this movie out on Blu-ray, Disney and Hulu, please. But ultimately, number 12, of course, this movie, Rosaline. If you have not seen this, I'm sorry you can't find this anywhere on Hulu or Disney Plus. And I do feel bad for the directors and the creators and to put all their work in there, because some of their movies is getting taken off the Hulu platform with no reasoning, trying to write off its tax returns. Now, let me tell you that. Bull crap. You took those movies off for no reason. And if you can find this movie on a website that where you could watch a lot of movies online, definitely give this movie a watch, because this was one of the most underrated and overlooked movies. I had fun with Rosaline, and you will too.
I'm just saying you're a babe. Own it.
Thanks. I guess.
If you're a fan of Caitlin Dever, if you're a fan of Romeo and Juliet, if you're a fan of these type of movies, definitely watch this. It's not my favorite Romeo and Juliet movie, but this is definitely in my top 3 or top 5. I haven't seen every interpretation, but this is definitely one of the better ones. Number 11, we have Olivia Rodrigo's Driving Home to You. This was a Disney Plus documentary that I watched, and I basically just watched it for what it was. Basically, it's just a behind-the-scenes look at each song Olivia Rodrigo writes for her album Sour, and the creative process and the inspiration behind it. But there is some good substance here, and I liked. There are some dark places that you do see that she was in. It is surface level, of course. I do wish there was more to it, but I definitely really enjoyed what this movie was going for. You can see the documentary side of this. I quite really had fun with it. It was a lot of fun. I definitely really liked it. I love the remixes of a lot of songs like Jealousy and Good For You, and also Driver's License, which is probably the second best song on the album right next to Good For You. But this was a very fun little Disney Plus thing they let Olivia Rodrigo do. I am a fan of Olivia Rodrigo's music, and ultimately, I can't wait to hear her next album. I can't wait to see what she does next, singing-wise and acting-wise. So, definitely a lot of fun for a documentary in this scale. Now we get into the top 10 best movies of 2017. Number 10 is going to be Cha Cha Real Smooth. This was a movie that wasn't on my radar either, but I figured I wanted to give this one a shot because I'd heard the movie was good and I gave it a chance. This was a very excellent story about adulthood and friendship with some very great, strong direction from first-time director Cooper Rafe, who also wrote the movie. And I thought the direction was very good. I liked the performances, and I thought the movie had his heart in the right place. It wasn't pretentious. Definitely one of the better movies I've seen. Dakota Johnson is very heartfelt, balancing and finding yourself in the life you want to live, but the story is very relatable. Cooper Rafe was also really good. I thought Dakota Johnson was fantastic here in one of her better movies. I also really like the fact that you did have an autistic portrayal that didn't feel insulted. I didn't feel insulted when it comes to that. It was treated with respect here in terms of the portrayal of autism here. And I like the relationship between the brothers, the relationship of the two leads, and the relationship of Andrew and Lola, which the actress who plays Lola, she's fantastic here. Vanessa Berghardt, and can't wait to see what else she does. You also have Leslie Mann and the rest of the cast in this movie. This is a movie that's definitely very short, but the movie definitely gets the job done. And if you have not watched this, it's on Apple TV Plus. Definitely give this movie a watch. I thoroughly really enjoyed it, and it made my top 10 for a reason. And number 9, of course, is Scream 5. This is going to be another one of those movies that's debatable because I know there is a handful of people who do not like this movie. Most of the Scream fans. Oh, they assassinated, they messed up Dewey's character. Oh, Dewey got killed out of this. This is not as good as the others. Nah, 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 nah.
Who wronged you? Why are you the way you are?
And that ain't my problem if you don't like the movie.
Well, then you are lost!
I thought Scream 5 was a good movie, in my personal opinion. I did rewatch this before Scream 6, and I still really enjoyed this movie. Some characters in this movie could have been fleshed out a little bit more when it comes to some stuff. It is predictable that Richie is one of the killers. Amber's kill was very unexpected, with her being the killer. But for me, I appreciated the usage of the legacy characters here. They did not overstay their welcome. They serve a purpose there. They get some good moments, while also gives the new characters some time to shine, which we do get to see that in Scream 6, which I have reviewed, by the way. There is some great brutal Ghostface killing and some great brutality here. There is some great cinematography and direction. And the meta commentary, not everyone enjoyed it, but I personally really liked the meta commentary, especially the fact that this movie has the balls to call out toxic fandom, which I'm sorry, some of y'all were offended by that. Toxic fandom needs to be called out because that cannot go on any longer. But I also thought that the fact that Dewey got killed off in the way he didn't really bother me in this movie. I feel like it had to happen at some point. So I understand some people being a little pissed off about it, but I'm like, what you think was gonna happen, guys? This is a movie, of course, but I can understand some people don't liking that. I also think the performances from everyone is good. Melissa Barrera, Jasmine Savoy Brown, Jack Quaid, Mikey Madison, Sonia Ben Amar, Omar Gooding, but Jenna Ortega was the main valuable player, and it was definitely her year last year. Between that movie, X, Wednesday, and The Fallout, which you're gonna get to, she's fantastic in here. Also, Neve Campbell and Courtney Cox and David Arquette were also very good here as well. If you are a Scream fan, you probably have already seen this, but if you're someone who didn't like it, I can understand. It is Top Gun Maverick. Top Gun Maverick. This, for a 36-year-long sequel, this could easily went wrong. But Top Gun Maverick was a very good sequel that not only managed to outdo itself from the original, but also pay respects to the original in a great way. I thought the performances were really good here. Tom Cruise is the most emotional I've seen him in, and we know Tom Cruise can be a good actor, but here is Maverick. They give him a lot more to do. I also really like the Miles Teller here. You also had John Hamm, Glenn Powell was good. Jennifer Connelly was good as the love interest. Louis Pullman and Val Kilmer were great. I also enjoyed people like Monica Barbaro and such in here. And some of the best exhilarating flying sequences here done the practical. There is some CGI, of course, but overall, everything is in camera. I do think the movie does suffer a little bit from just a minor baby nitpick when it comes to the pacing and when it comes to the way they handle Val Kilmer. Is not insulting, but is very hard to sit through because depending on what Val Kilmer is actually going through. And that's it. Everything else is great. I love this movie. The cinematography is great. I thought the performances were great. Soundtrack is good. Joseph Kosinski was good. I love the fact that they used the Danger Song, which that is not going to get out of my head anytime soon, especially having seen the first one a couple years ago in 2018. Lady Gaga, Hold My Hand, great song, beautiful song. One Republic was great. And you do have the scene on the beach. That was a lot of fun. But Top Gun Maverick is a sequel that is just as great as the original and a fantastic film in its own right as a standalone film. Number 7. This is going to shock some people that this is not my number 1. But Everything, Everywhere, All at Once. The movie that swept the Academy Awards this year. Best Director, Best Picture, Best Actor, Best Actress, Best Supporting Actress, Best Editing, Best... This movie took home the Oscar love, and this movie is amazing. Everything, Everywhere, All at Once. This movie's all kinds of craziness. This was really good here. I love the fact that this movie is weird, is beautiful, is poignant, is wild. It is a multiverse movie, but it never forgets the fact that the movie's heart is definitely in the characters. Michelle Yeoh is very good in this movie. The silliness is very charming here. The third act is very good in this movie here. Ki Hu Kwan definitely deserves his Oscar, of course. The Daniels is very good with this movie, and they basically was very creative, got very original and bold. Everything, Everywhere, All at Once. As much as I love this movie, there is another multiverse movie that you will see when we get to it that I thought was way better here. Way better. But Everything, Everywhere, All at Once is fantastic. I love Stephanie Hsu. Music is great. And if you have not seen this, what are you doing? Get that Blu-ray, get that DVD, get that 4K, watch it on cable, watch it on Hulu, watch it on Paramount Plus. Watch this movie. Everything, Everywhere, All at Once is awesome. It's the shit. It's awesome. Something that started my 2022 year on a high before a little bit of things came up, but Harry Potter, the 20th anniversary return to Hogwarts. Let me explain something to you guys. I've been a Harry Potter fan, not just with the movies, but also with the books. And I don't care how good that show is going to be, you're never going to top the movies for me. For me, the movies and the books, they are my Harry Potter. Daniel Radcliffe, Rupert Grint, and Emma Watson, they are my Harry, Ron, and Hermione. No one else. And this was a great legacy documentary that I definitely really loved. This movie was emotional. It was spectacular. Reading the books as the movies were coming out, and then being a big fan of it, and this being my favorite franchise of all time, but also my favorite movie of all time, this was personal to me. And seeing the documentary about this, seeing some incredible behind the scenes stories, reliving great moments, a lot of truths that they talk about when it comes to Daniel Radcliffe, how he basically was dealing with alcoholism making these movies, but was still committed. How Emma Watson almost left the franchise, how they had to deal with the tests and trials. The behind the scenes stories with each movie is very nostalgic, joyful, emotional. Seeing the three actors together was great. Seeing the directors and some of the cast members were great. Acknowledging the fallen actors like John Hurt and Helen McQuarrie and the late Alan Rickman and the late Richard Harris is very emotional in here, and some very trippy stuff like Emma Watson's crush on Draco, some trippy moments with the kiss and filming that, and also emotional cathartic, getting the emotion about the final day of shooting and seeing the late Robbie Coltrane in this documentary for the last time has been great. I do wish the movie, it was a little longer to bring up some more aspects of this, but it didn't matter because I really loved what the dedication and the commitment that they put into this. I was emotional. I got sad. I was happy. I was enthralled with this documentary. And this is a documentary I do want to get as part of that Harry Potter collection. I got the movies. I have the sorting hats. I have a few of the wands. I have a comforter set with the Harry Potter Hogwarts crest on it. This is everything I want in a documentary. And as a Harry Potter fan, I was happy. I was really happy. Kicking into the top 5. And in the top 5, we have The Northman, which is of Robert Eggers' movies. This is my favorite of his. I loved The Northman. This movie is visually striking, brutal, badass, but epic Viking epictasticness with a great revenge tale that fully commits to it, from its incredible direction by Robert Eggers to the amazing production design and the costume design, and the cinematography in this movie is really good. I'm surprised that this movie did not get any type of Oscar love in there, because I personally really thought this movie was fantastic. I really think that cinematography wise, production design wise, action wise, it is bloody, it is visceral, it is brutal, and it does not hold back. I also really enjoyed the score of the movie, but the main draws for me was Alexander Skarsgård's performance. Anya Taylor-Joy's performance, of course, was fantastic. I also really liked Nicole Kidman and the rest of the cast. This movie was definitely what I wanted to see. And for me, I definitely quite loved a lot of this movie was going for. Is it long? Yes. 2 hours and 16 minutes? I don't feel anything. Can it be a little bit too much for some people to handle? Yes, but this movie was ferocious and I had a lot of fun watching it. And this is a movie that I definitely want to eventually own because of how fun this movie was. And this is Robert Eggers' best movie, and I can't wait to see Nosferatu because that's going to be awesome. Number 4 is going to be Belle. This was an absolute marvel of what it comes to when it comes to anime. Stunning mix of animation and a great mix of Beauty and the Beast, but also telling a story about internet cyberbullying while also having a lot to say in its ambitions, its emotions, and its story. And I, for one, really enjoyed it. Now, you definitely have technology and stuff like The Matrix and Ready Player One combined with Beauty and the Beast, but it takes influence from that story and makes it original, front and center, about an insecure, struggling girl to find her voice, and uses a virtual reality app to create a new persona to it. I thought this was also very beautiful with some great sci-fi sequences, but also some great commentary here, telling a resonant message about being yourself in the internet age and always sharing compassion was different from the rest. It is a great anime film that I definitely really liked, and it's a movie that I definitely enjoy rewatching. So while the movie is long, which is the only issue, and kind of can some characters is a little there, I thought the relationship between the main girl and the beast and a lot of the other stuff it was going for definitely win this movie over. And by the end of the movie, I was happy. Number 3 is going to be Sonic the Hedgehog 2. The first Sonic the Hedgehog movie was awesome, but this took it to a whole nother level. The first Sonic did feel like a road trip movie that didn't really fit with Sonic, but you had to set up the groundwork in order for this to work, of course. That being said, what Sonic the Hedgehog 2 does better? Pretty much everything. First off, I love the characters in this movie. I think the characters in this movie are just as fun here. You get some good moments in this movie with some of the character stuff. You get a lot of fun moments with Sonic. Sonic and Tails makes this movie very worthy here. And I definitely love the action in this movie. It definitely feels like a Sonic movie with the video game animation. Feels like you're going from moments to moments when it comes to this movie. It feels like you're playing the Sonic the video game with Dr. Eggman and Knuckles trying to get the Chaos Emerald. You have the fight scenes with Knuckles and Sonic in this movie. They were very fun. Also, very much enjoyed Colleen O'Shaughnessy as Tails. Ben Schwartz. By this point, there is no way they're recasting that part of Sonic. It just ain't gonna happen. I thought Idris Elba was good as Knuckles. I can't wait for his show and see what else his character is going to contribute in Sonic 3. James Marsden, Tika Sumpter were very good. Jim Carrey, which he's not really retired yet, but if this is the way his last one, which hopefully they get him back for Sonic 3, good way to go out. I thought he was fun. I thought the action was good. There is a little dance sequence that goes on for a little long, and the wedding subplot could have been handled a little bit better. And you could have trimmed that little dance sequence here that could have been trimmed by 10 minutes. But that's really the only thing I can say negative about it. In the credit scene, Shadow the Hedgehog is coming, and also Amy Rose. Now, I was going to compete with Avatar 3, but ultimately, I think Sonic the Hedgehog 2 is better than the original. Number 2 is going to be The Fallout. This movie was actually very good in its own right. And this was the first movie I saw Jenna Ortega in of there. This was a fantastic year here. I was very much surprised with this film. I thought the directing and the acting was very good here. I thought the performances was very strong. And ultimately, this movie was really beneficial to what it tried to do. And I thought the film handled its subject matter very well. It doesn't overstay its welcome, doesn't become preachy with what it's trying to say, with characters having to deal with a school shooting and the loss of someone. It was great. It was really good here. And I definitely quite enjoyed what the movie was setting up. Jenna Ortega was fantastic here. Maddie Ziegler, this is the movie that a lot of people see that she can act in, but music, fuck you. Cinematography wise was very good. Megan Park did a very good job with the writing and direction. The score was great. The script was great. Characters were great. Shailene Woodley is in here too. You could have had a little bit more of her in here. Niles Fitch was good. You also got Julie Bowen here. Where the movie does falter a little bit is, of course, it does take its time. This is not going to be a movie that's going to be easy for people to watch. But I did enjoy what this movie had to offer, and I quite walking away definitely liking this movie a lot more than I would have. So definitely, while it was the beginning of the Jenna Ortega stuff in 2022, it was a very well done drama, which thankfully has gotten an HBO Max release. At least Warner Bros. Does better than Disney. My favorite movie of 2022 is the one movie I have constantly defended the most, is the movie I've watched the most, is the movie I praise the most. Were you really expecting it to change at this point, a couple of months later? Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. 4 times I've seen this movie now. And my love for this movie is still there. I understand the complaints. Yes, this movie I still felt needed to be 10 minutes longer. And you could have had some stuff with Christine there. The writing isn't the best at points. America Chavez is a plot device. The cameos may not have been best. But I'll say this: I will deal with the cameos in this movie before dealing with cameos with Breeze, Captain Marvel, Miles Morales getting killed by Wanda or Deadpool. You do not need Deadpool or Miles Morales in this movie being killed by Wanda. The cameos we got here are just fine. Could have been a little longer. I do wish there was an extended cut in on this. It is a little chaotic in the third act. And, of course, when it comes to Wanda being the villain, it can be a little hard to watch her be a villain because we love Wanda so much. But for me, I definitely enjoyed this. I like the performances in this movie. Benedict Cumberbatch gets a lot more to do as Doctor Strange. This time he's having to play multiple Stranges, especially Zombie Strange, which is still my favorite part of the movie. Elizabeth Olsen. Need I say more about Elizabeth Olsen? She's my favorite actress of all time. She's great in this. Loved her in Love and Death. She's fantastic here. Rachel McAdams, America Chavez, everyone in this movie did a good job. Love the action. I love the direction. I do wish this was rated R, though, and I do wish we could have seen a scene with Nightmare, but I just have fun enjoying a Sam Raimi directed MCU movie. Now, if he comes back to direct Doctor Strange 3 and Avengers Secret Wars, give this man more creative control because I want to see him go full Sam Raimi again. And I'd rather deal with Scarlet Witch here than I will Kang the Conqueror. I'm sorry. Kang the Conqueror is just boring. Until we get to a situation where Kang can actually be interesting, Kang the Conqueror, he will always be boring. Wanda is better than him. She's more fleshed out, hero and villain-wise. We like Wanda more, and she's more of a badass than he is. So, Kang the Conqueror fans, suck on that. But anyways, Multiverse of Madness is a great movie. Fantastic film. That's going to do it for my best movies of 2020. Very quickly went over. Have a full playlist of the 2022 reviews on my channel if you want to see my thoughts on those. And with that being said, I hope you enjoyed this. So, those were my best movies of 2022. Hopefully, it does not take me a long time to do best of 2023.
Well, that's going to do it for the video that you just watched. If you want to see more, my channel icon is up here. If you want to see more content from me, all my social medias are right here in this end card. I will also leave a playlist and a video here for you to see what the channel is about. As always, acknowledge me, stay Epictastic, join the Epictasticness, and you guys keep it cool.